All right, good morning and welcome to Today in LA. We didn't know how fast Steve Camp could run, but he still got it. He had to run in here and do some technical stuff. My name is Bill Rice. This is Coach Forrest Lee. And this morning, Michael Amos, the founder of this show, is at Panama City Beach. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Good morning. Of course, the sun just went up down here. Of course, it's been overcast and waters have been rough all weekend long. The waters are still rough, but it's going to get better as we head toward Labor Day. But right now, beautiful sun. About a great day.
Good morning, Michael Amos in Grayton Beach.
Hi, morning. How's it going?
Good. Let's set the stage here. Bill Rice Jr., Forrest Lee, Mike Amos at Panama City Beach, Florida, and Michael Amos, also Mike Amos, at Grayton Beach, Florida.
If my count is right, that means we got 4 people on. Is that right?
That's cuatro in Espanol.
And Farley, Forrest, run.
Now let's.
How amazing is PGA golf been?
Wow.
The playoffs yesterday were incredible. Did y'all watch the finish?
Yeah,
Saw the replay.
Watch the whole tournament.
I mean, I can't get over. Some of these putts these guys are making. Dustin Johnson holds a 43-foot putt to go into the playoff, and then the first playoff hole, John Rahm, who shot a 64 on one of the toughest courses I've seen in a long time, made a 66-foot putt to win the playoff, and just incredible golf yesterday. I tell you what, the PGA Tour has been better than ever since they started back.
It's been a lifesaver for, I have watched more golf this year than I have in my whole life, probably.
I tell you what, Saturday was unbelievable at the Brundage Country Club. From 9 until 4, we were just rocking and rolling.
Really?
People were coming in, playing golf, some walking, some riding.
Awesome.
Did y'all have a television where a lot of them hung around and watched the golf or what?
No, sir. About 5 o'clock, they had vacated the premises except for a couple of people. And
have a TV.
Yes, sir.
To get a TV out there so some of them can sit around and watch golf.
Yeah, it stays on the golf channel pretty much all the time.
Yeah, okay, so you do have a TV there
Yes, sir.
on the golf channel.
Yes, sir.
Now, what about Sunday afternoon? Y'all open on Sunday afternoon?
I wouldn't.
Oh, you wouldn't.
We're open on Sunday, but I didn't work.
work.
I was at church and other things.
Forrest has 7 jobs, but Sunday's a day of rest.
Let me tell y'all what I did Saturday. Mike always asks, what'd you do this weekend? Well, Mike, the big Christmas present for the Rices this year was some bookshelves for my den.
I saw a picture of that.
And, they're 8-foot tall bookshelves. Well, they've been sitting in the box in our foyer for 8 months. I had not put together the bookshelves because I knew what would be involved in putting together the bookshelves, and I am not a carpenter handyman. Well, something got in me Saturday. I said, we're putting together the dang bookshelves. 2-person job, so my wife and I, for 5 hours, just grimaced and cussed and...
How many times you divorced her?
Yeah, and finally we got it where it's kind of looks like it's working, and then we had to stand it up and then move it to the spot, and then we had to decorate the bookshelves. So this was the great bookshelf weekend.
Oh, just go get you about 6 cement blocks and 3 1x12s.
Did you finish it?
I did. That's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'm never buying a piece of furniture that I have to assemble again in my life. If I got to pay $1,000 more to have it assembled and delivered to my house, I'm doing it.
Jody and I, when we were married 30 years ago, we got 2 barbecue grills for wedding presents. Well, the first one took me about 4 hours to put together. The second one, 30 minutes. Because after you put one together, you can figure out the second one.
Well, that's true. You learn as you go. But it does look better.
Yeah. So Auburn University, Malzahn is reporting 16 players are sitting out due to COVID-19. So Auburn seems like they're having a tough time getting back to practice. I think they have not practiced. I think they've had to miss 4 practices. I think they start back tomorrow. But Auburn's got a lot of concerns. Getting the virus.
Tennessee didn't practice Friday.
You know what, though, I was telling Forrest off air, though, you still got 28 days to the first game, plenty of time. It seems to me it would be great if you get as many players positive and recovered as possible before the season starts.
Yeah, but the big question is, can you get it again?
Well, I think you got about 2 or 3 months there that you're going to have some good antibody protection and probably won't get it again. That'll get you through the season.
But today is the 31st day of August, and of course it looks like a pretty day outside. And of course now we're trying to work our way, like the song goes, working our way back to Labor Day weekend, which is this coming weekend. And tell us a little bit, Forrest, about how high school football went, and how did the game at Charles Henderson go, and how were they able to
Yeah, you know, you can't hardly download the paper, the Troy Messenger. You can't buy one, but I've got to buy the subscription online. I know I got defeated 27-13 by Catholic, and it was close, you know, throughout most of the game. But I think it was within a touchdown reach at a couple of times, but it ended up being.
And the game was delayed, Mike, because of weather.
It was.
I don't know how long, an hour or at least.
Yeah. It was going to be on Channel 17 here on the cable station, but because of the rain delay or the lightning delay of about 45 minutes plus, you know, they went to another high school ball game. But
hopefully, Catholic is that good, and Charles Henderson is not that bad. What do you think?
Well, Greenville comes to town Thursday, and Mike, if you want to go to the game, you got to buy your tickets online. Go to the Troy City Schools website, click on Charles Henderson High School, go to athletics, and then you go to the tickets. It says go fan online, and then you have got to buy your tickets online.
Is it a digital ticket? It's not.
Well, I hadn't bought one, but it's this Thursday night. Greenville comes to town, 7:00 kick at Veterans Stadium, and that's going to be another tough game.
Well,
it normally is with Greenville.
Just move it back to Friday night, because I mean Troy's not playing anymore. That's you know, I don't understand why they would make them play a day early when now Troy's not playing. Why don't they just move back to Friday? I'm sure McClendon at Greenville wouldn't mind playing on Friday night either. He doesn't want a short week. Sure, they'll move that to Friday.
Hey, I'm not sure. Did Greenville play this Friday?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you, Michael. I play it on Friday. That'll give more people a chance to go.
Anymore. I mean, Troy's game got canceled.
Well, Brantley, them Bulldogs in Brantley, they got a hold of some Tigers in Luverne, beat them 49-0. It was 42-0 at the half.
I mean, let's be honest. Let's talk about this. Brantley looks loaded, and Charles Henderson looks like they're going to have a tough year just from the start. They just got beat by a 3A school by 2 touchdowns at home. I mean, Brantley's last game of the year. Could you see a 1A Brantley beat a 5A Charles Henderson this year?
I can, because when you lose players, you lose about 7 or 8 starters. That's a tough hill to. Plus, you went it to a different region. It's going to be a tough road to hoe. Greenville is going to be tough.
Henderson B team beat Crenshaw, 42 to what did it score in that game?
42-12, I believe. It was 40. I've got that score. It was a little bit of stats on that. 42-12. The Pike Liberal Arts had 267 total offense. The quarterback, Mays White, was 9 of 12 passing with 184 yards. Elijah Caldwell had 6 catches for 132 yards with 2 touchdowns. I believe Mays White scored 2 touchdowns running. Mario Davenport in the game, he had an interception for a return. Pike Liberal Arts will host Hooper Academy. They're from Montgomery. They host them Friday night, 7:00 kick. You know, in Crenshaw, the game was pretty close in the third quarter. It was 7-6, and then
yeah, the total offense by a little large from what I read. I mean, must have been a lot of turnovers in the second half for Crenshaw.
Well, I think in the first half, 2 touchdowns were called back against Pike Liberal Arts for penalties or whatever reason.
I'm going to make a little editorial comment here. I've watched some football this weekend. The college game, high school. I watched all high school games all over America. You know, ESPN's showing them, including Spanish Fort versus St. Paul's. These referees got to get over thinking that people are watching these football games to watch them. I mean, just penalties on every other play. Half of them they don't need to call. They could leave it. And then this Pike Liberal Arts game, what I watched, it was just a flag fest. If the penalty has nothing to do that affects the play, or if it's borderline, do not throw the penalty. I'm getting tired. If you're ruining the football game.
A friend of mine.
End of editorial.
A friend of mine was an official for years and years. He said this year they've had a lot of senior-aged officials who didn't want to call because of COVID.
Right.
And so you've
got some
not amateur, but you've got some.
And they think they got to throw a flag to justify their salary. I don't know.
Yeah. And Crenshaw.
Let me clear something up. When I said call this was called Pike Liberal Arts B team. Well, let me just say this. I'm being silly. What I'm saying is a lot of Pike Liberal Arts good players this year are transfers from schools like Charles Henderson, Pike County High School, Goshen,
Holland
surrounding areas, and they legally can do that. And this team is made up of a lot of real good transfers, so that's what I'm saying. I was just being joking. A very good team for Pike Liberal Arts.
Well,
I think you see less calls made due to the fact that they're wearing masks. You gotta, reach down and get your whistle, and then you gotta take your mask off and blow the whistle.
I just hope it doesn't continue all season. If offsides, you got to call it. Obvious face mask, you got to call it. But a lot of the holding calls that you can't really see them, and they're away from the play. Interference calls. It's just, and when you got a 12-minute quarter, 48-minute game, and you've got 30 penalties, come on.
Yeah. Crenshaw travels to Coosa Valley, but when Hooper rolls into Troy this week, it's going to be 50. You'll see at least 50 on the scoreboard.
In fact,
not more.
Let's take a look at Pike Liberal Arts' schedule, and I can pretty much tell you that there'll be maybe two teams that can beat them. I don't know if they can beat them. This is a
Bessemer Academy and usually Monroe and Glenwood are usually pretty good.
Yeah, and of course, Monroe. But it's going to be looks very good at Pike Liberal Arts on having a very good football team. This Mays kid, the coach's son, is quite an athlete, and as we talked about earlier, he's the number 2 shortstop in the country right now as far as the draft goes.
Well, the key to that team is called trenches. They've got the men in the trenches that's going to control both sides
they got some
of
big
the
old boys
line.
and some fast boys.
And,
that
was my favorite radio show in Birmingham. Roger Schultz and Stan White did a show called In Trenches. I always thought that was a good name.
Did you watch Roger's son play for St. Paul on Friday?
I was watching that game and I totally forgot to watch his son. I was flipping back and forth to that.
I'll tell you, that was
Brantley Luverne game. Brantley just was destroying Luverne, 49-0.
Yeah, that was a sloppy game, but Brantley just put it on them.
The Brantley quarterback, who is I think just a sophomore, his name is Tucker Kilcrease. Somebody told me he's already committed to play for Troy one day. Is that right?
Well, they had a wide receiver that was rocking and rolling and juking.
Oh, Brantley is the real deal. They don't need to get the big head, but I hope this season goes to the end because Brantley's your favorite to win the state championship are right up there in the top 4.
They're ranked number 1.
That game was played live by Troy Cable. I thought it was very well done. It had a little problem at first, but I thought the Troy Cable people did a great job putting that game.
Oh, and then the weather was just awful that they had to deal with, so it was impressive that they even got it on.
Yeah. And Brantley travels to Kinston, so get ready, Kinston.
And then Kinston beat Zion Chapel.
They
We
did.
thought Zion Chapel would beat Kinston.
Yeah, Zion Chapel goes to Abbeville this week, so.
Abbeville won. They beat Headland. Also, I'm happy to say I had the upset of the week. I picked Eufaula to beat Central Tuscaloosa.
You dang sure did. They beat them?
Sure did.
38-36.
36, you fall over Central Ping City. You're exactly right, Mike. You did pick that one.
They play at Robert E. Lee this Friday.
Ed Rigby gets in his car this morning in Troy, Alabama, and drives to Eufaula, and I mean, he's got a chance to win a state championship this year at Eufaula, I would think.
Well, how'd the Ayrton do?
They lost.
They got beat. Mike Amos picked that game as well. It's 29-20.
That was the who do they play now?
They picked Flomaton. You're a big Flomaton fan. You picked them.
Yeah. You're right. Flomaton has a very good team, but it shows me how good Ayrton's going to be too, though.
Yeah. Goshen gets to play their first game this Friday night. They will travel to play Trinity in Montgomery, and Trinity has a new head coach. His last name's Shook. He played at Huntington, coached a little bit at Huntington, and but Goshen travels.
Well, Trinity's coach was there for about 30 years. What was his name? Ragsdale?
Ragsdale.
Yeah.
Randy Ragsdale.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Pike County High School has to wait another week. They were supposed to play Beulah, I believe, but Beulah dropped sports this fall. But Pike County will be at Dadeville next week to open up the season for one of our other local schools.
Any scores you're interested in from the weekend, Dad? Do you need me to find anything?
No, I fell asleep in the Austin P game. Who won that one?
Oh, my goodness. That was one of the best comebacks ever. Central Arkansas basically was moving it up and down the field but couldn't score in the second half. Austin P was doing absolutely nothing. But Austin P got the ball back after Central Arkansas kicked the chip shot field goal and drove the field, scored with a minute 40 left to take a 17-16 lead. And then Central Arkansas got the ball back at about the 25, and their quarterback, looked like John Elway, Joe Montana. Was just, absolute perfection on that last drive, and he threw a perfect pass, back shoulder fade pass in the end zone, and the guy jumped up and caught it, and they went up 22-17 with 30 seconds left, 34 seconds left, and then they went for two, made the two-point conversion, and it was 24-17. But then Austin P drove to about the 26-yard line and had a pass at the end of the game. It got deflected, and Central Arkansas won the game. But every time Johnny Williams has a game in Crampton Bowl, it comes down the wire, it seems like.
And
It really does. Johnny Williams, who so many of you, works for ESPN now, and he's one that put the game on. And from everything I hear and everything I saw, it was just another great effort by Johnny to put that game on.
Yeah.
It was considered the first college football game of the year. It was played at Crampton Bowl in Montgomery and on ESPN, and our own Johnny Williams put that game on. And congratulations, another big success. But the most unusual thing about the whole game, there was no admittance to the game as far as you couldn't pay to go to the game. You had to have the tickets were by invitation only.
Well, Central
Only 2,000 people there.
Central Arkansas should have stayed in Alabama because they play UAB this Thursday in Birmingham.
I heard what UAB's doing. UAB's athletic director and Bill Clark have they are paying for Central Arkansas's hotels and their practice facilities. They will be in Birmingham all week, getting ready for the game.
Good, because they play Thursday in Legion Field, I believe. Isn't that correct?
I guess, since they don't have their new stadium yet.
And then that same night, this Thursday, South Alabama travels to Southern Miss. This Thursday.
Yeah, we'll have a line for that game coming up soon out in Vegas. So that will be the first Division I game. But there was a line for Central Arkansas. They were 5-point favorites. So when they scored that touchdown with 34 seconds left, people out in Vegas that had Central Arkansas Bears were jumping up and down, going crazy.
And then they had to hold their breath at the end.
No, they didn't line that game.
Yeah, Central Arkansas is 5-point favorite.
Yeah, and then Friday.
Sunday, 1AA game.
Yeah, they do it sometimes.
Shoot, you don't think they were dying for football? Sure, out in Vegas, don't line anything.
Hey, when you see there's a line, that's real excitement, and that's countrywide. Is that right?
I'll tell you, breaking news out of LSU, and this is not good news for the great Ed Orgeron. Jamar Chase, their great All-American wide receiver, supposed to be the 4th pick in the NFL draft, is opting out. He had 1,800 yards receiving and 20 touchdowns last year, so he's decided to sit out the year and just get ready for the draft. So not good news for LSU.
Wonder why they make these decisions 1 or 2 weeks in the football practice. It's kind of, I wonder what.
Well, you got another month for a season almost. I guess they just decided they didn't want to do it.
Yeah, their heart 1 minute.
M-O-N-E-Y. M-O-N-E-Y.
Well, it could backfire on him though.
Buddy.
That's kind of scary Alabama fans though with Smith and Waddle. You know, they might see that and say, hey, this guy might be making sense while risking injury when we're going to be making millions of dollars come April.
Well, their defensive back.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Their defensive back, Kerry Vincent's not playing. Neither is the defensive end, Neil Farrell. So they've had 3.
And this is on top of all the huge attrition they had last
Plus
year.
COVID.
Half their team went to the NFL draft, it seemed like. So
They know they're not going to get out of the West, and I'm not going to risk it. I don't want to get whooped in the West, and I won't play because
maybe he's looked at the replacement quarterback and said, this guy ain't going to get there.
Brennan, yeah, that's what I think it's about.
7,
Well, let me just say this: they don't play until the 26th, a whole month away. Isn't that amazing?
They play Mississippi State.
Just sit back and relax and let the team off for about a week, and then ask them to come back, get the legs under them. But then they go out and get in trouble, though, don't you think?
Yeah, well, I think, didn't the Ohio State player get involved in a shooting? So, I mean, I wrote this in one column. I said that one reason you want to keep these players safe is keep them on a team, and they're not going to get in as much trouble, and here you go.
Middle Tennessee, don't they travel and play Army this weekend? Middle Tennessee versus Army?
I'll yield to you, do they?
And then Monday night,
La Monroe plays Army. They were supposed to play Troy this Saturday, but they play La Monroe plays Army next Saturday.
Yeah. This says
About Middle Tennessee, I can look.
Yeah. And it says also Monday night, Labor Day night, BYU at Navy.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, getting back to Austin Peay and Central Arkansas.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't realize, but Middle Tennessee will travel to Army to play this weekend. So they'll play Army before they play Troy on the 19th. So Troy will be at a disadvantage again. Playing Middle will have a game before them.
I also read an article, Arkansas State at Memphis. The Memphis running back has opted out because of COVID. He's had 4 family members to pass away.
To pass away?
As related to COVID. The Memphis running back, who's a highly touted running back, he's sitting out this year. I don't know his name. I didn't write that part of the article down, but
well, I noticed in the
this
Telegas that Central Arkansas and Austin Peay, they're one of only 16 teams in 1AA that's even playing football this year. So 100 teams in 1AA have decided we're not even going to play. And the few that are playing, like we saw last Friday, they're playing an abbreviated 5 or 6 game schedule. So it shows you that the smaller programs that don't have any money, they're already, giving up on football for the most part. Kind of scary.
If you think about it, Jacksonville State, who was able to get Florida State on their schedule right at the last, they would have been in that kind of situation if they hadn't landed a big deal like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Florida State.
So that probably...
Austin Peay's only going to play 4 games in the fall, and then they're going to play their conference schedule in the spring.
That's Jacksonville State.
Dad, how would you like this on Thursday night? Lions out in Vegas. You get 14 points to work with. Southern Miss is a 14-point favorite against South Alabama.
I tell you what, I take South Alabama on that one. South Alabama is well coached. They've got to win, and I think that's going to be a closer game than that. You're right.
Over under 52. So interesting game. Going to be played in Hattiesburg on Thursday night.
Yeah, I can't wait. Forrest has got some fantastic baseball trivia you'll love, Mike. about a game that happened this weekend, something that never happened in the history of baseball.
The Chicago Cubs.
I hear that right now.
The Chicago Cubs were playing the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. They defeated them 10-1. All starting outfielders for the Chicago Cubs each had 2 home runs each in that game.
Oh man,
That's never happened.
unbelievable.
Jason Hayward, Ian Happ, Kyle Shawaka, they all had 2 home runs each. And also, the Dodgers set the National League record for home runs in a month with 57.
Ooh.
However, the Major League record was set last year by the New York Yankees, who has the designated hitter.
Yeah.
They had 74
In 1 month.
last year, in the month of, I believe it was August. So,
But you're
anyway,
saying that 3 Chicago White Sox had 2 home runs?
Chicago Cubs,
Cubs.
And they were
all
all the
outfielders
starting outfielders had 2 home runs.
each.
You almost had history again last night. The Braves took a 10-0 lead against the Phillies, and the Phillies cut it to 11-10 going into the 9th inning. But the Braves held on and won 12-10.
That would have been
That was almost history as well.
Wow.
I wonder what the biggest blown lead in the record. Did they say in the telecast what it is?
They said the Phillies in '89 came back from 10 runs down, so it would have tied a record. Breaking news on college basketball. This is major news because this guy was a great coach at Georgetown, but John Thompson Jr. has died at 78 years old. Everybody remembers the great Georgetown program that he built.
Oh,
He was a great coach. Boy, every time you see him hit the court, boy, you knew they were going to be good. You're right.
And it'd be fitting for him to have a white towel
yeah.
on his suit coat.
The
picture they're showing has a white towel next to it.
Yeah.
Our show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, the Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass in Troy. They've got a deal going on, ladies and gentlemen, that you won't believe in. You know, like I always say, nobody can beat a Premier deal. Nobody. And we appreciate them being a prime sponsor of our show. And, of course, let's take a short break. We'll be back with more of Today in L.A. in just a moment.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Right here, right now. It's a double dose of savings. Yes. Summer clearance event savings. Plus Labor Day savings. 2020 Wranglers start at $289 a month. 2020 Ram 1500. Save it to $17,377. The biggest selection. Better discount. Best deal. New 2020 Jeep Cherokee. Save up to $10,000. Save over $9,800 on new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Bad credit, no credit, it doesn't matter. Shop us at PremierTroy.com and save thousands. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson satisfaction, they really mean it. The Jackson satisfaction is real.
By its very nature, doing big things takes resilience and strength. You did the hard part. You did it, and we'll go farther still. Max is proud to be your champion, removing obstacles that get in your way. We make technology easy, saving and funds access uncomplicated, and provide help when and how you want it. You control your money with expert guidance from Max Credit Union. Smart money made simple.
All right, we're back on the air. Got a lot to talk about after a busy sports weekend. I'm sure something happened in the world proper as well. Probably Biden and Trump said some crazy things, but we can talk about that later. Well, y'all got some.
We're trying to pull up scores from the weekend. Of course, that was a pretty good game. A lot of great athletes on the field with St. Paul's and Spanish Fort playing live on ESPN on Friday night. But my dad claims that the better athletes were out in Utah late that night.
Did any of y'all watch that Utah team play?
I watched a couple plays and it looked good to me.
But they got a quarterback, and then the Utah, buddy, I tell you, was very, very impressive. The whole thing, their whole football game, and they take it serious out there in Salt Lake.
Cole Kubick did the commentating on the St. Paul Spanish Fort game and did a really good job. And he made the point several times that this was a hard-hitting physical football game, and it was. Did y'all see the lick that St. Paul safety put on the Spanish Fort running back? That's one of the hardest licks I've seen at any level of football. Knocked him out.
And he hit him with his shoulder. It was really
it was a clean hit. Yeah, he didn't hit him helmet to helmet with his shoulder. I watched that safety.
Here's some local scores from high school if you want to see it. You want to hear these scores?
Yeah, the local ones.
Yeah.
All right, you got Abbeville, picked that game. Abbeville won 34-13 over Headland. Alabama Christian, this is really surprising because I thought Howland Home was going to be really good this year, won 49-28 over Howland Home. The battle of between Auburn and Opelika is always a big game as well. I guess we'll mention that. Auburn won big, 37-10. Brantley beat Luverne 49-0. Let's see, Catholic of Montgomery beat Charles Henderson 27-13. Let's see, any other local scores? Dale County won 42-0 over Delville. Delville is yet to score a point this year. Edgewood, I guess, is playing Pine Liberal Arts. Edgewood, and Hooper played, and that's who Pine Liberal Arts plays this week. Edgewood beat Hooper 27-0. Elba must have a really good coach. They're 2-0. They beat Opp 26-21 and shut down that quarterback that threw for 6 touchdowns in the first half. Does that game surprise you?
Yeah, it did. Like you said, that Opp quarterback really good. But who is the new coach at Elba? Is it Coach Johnson? Did he keep?
No, it's not Coach Johnson. We mentioned the name on the show the other day. This guy came from Enterprise High School. He coached there for 15 years and was the junior high coach before that. He's the new coach at Elba.
Elba travels to Long this week.
And then Eufaula beat Central of Phoenix City.
Yeah, Eufaula won 38-36. Andalusia played Fairhope and got beat 28-21, but Fairhope beat, I want to say they beat Spanish Fort the week before. Or was that Floyd? Yeah, no, that was Fairhope.
Andalusia will be good when they play Charleston again.
And then Flomaton beat Arrington 29-20. I'm trying to see some other local scores. We talked about this game. We actually picked this game. This was a great game. Geneva with a great running back. Henderson, we mentioned, that everybody in the country is looking at, beat Slocum 48-41.
Wow.
All right, now, is this Geneva County High School or Geneva High School?
That's Geneva.
All right, this running back.
No, wait. Yeah, Geneva won 48-41. Geneva County's the guy with the great running back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
and Geneva County is Henderson, the great running back, and they beat Wicksburg 19-15.
Yeah, I got you. So
I'm trying to look for more scores local. Look and see here. Kinston beat Zion Chapel 40-26. The Battle of Montgomery, Lee of Montgomery beat Jeff Davis 19-14. Let's see any more local scores here.
Carver played somebody that I remember we talked about.
Yeah, Carver got beat by. We mentioned that already. That score. We'll have to go back and look.
I didn't do very well in my pick.
We won 13-3 over Trinity. Trying to see if there's anything else local.
that's a big game in Montgomery, isn't it, Bryce?
You said it, buddy.
Montgomery Academy.
Yeah, I mean, that's bleachers are always packed, and then you got 300 kids playing in the end zones and along the fence line.
We picked this game. Kenny Keefe ought to be ashamed of himself. He needs to call the school at Northside Methodist and apologize. Providence Christian 71, Northside Methodist 35.
God.
That's a lot of points.
Whoa.
Electric bill went up.
To 35.
Gosh, that is unreal. Kenny Keek must have quite an offense. And,
How about Peyton Harrison starting 2-0, 38-0 over Ashford at Rehoboth?
Andalusia travels to Rehoboth this Friday. Andalusia at Rehoboth this Friday. That's going to
be a good one. That'll be a good one so far.
Let's see. I'm seeing if there's any more local scores. That's it, I believe. That's all local.
Mike Amos, what do you think about all these Big Ten and Pac-12 players watching all these high school games, and now 1AA, and seeing them play football? And what do you think about them saying, well, why can't we play football if these guys are...
And I still cannot believe that the Ohio State, the Nebraska, the Penn State, and the teams like that would sit back and let that happen. You would think that they would have been more powerful than that to let that happen.
You know what happened is that they came out with a study, or somebody came out with a study that said that players that have had COVID might have long-term health risk in the form of heart issues, a condition called myocarditis. That can cause you it's the thickening of the lining of the heart, and it can cause you to have a sudden heart attack. Well, when the Pac-12 and the Big Ten canceled football, everybody said, well, that's really what's driving this. They don't know the long-term effects, and they're worried about this myocarditis. Well, I see Friday that a study has come out and said that the study they based the myocarditis fears on is just very, very flawed, and they pretty much debunked that study. They said there is no noticeable increased health risk that we can show from myocarditis for athletes. So in other words, the reason they base canceling football is off of a flawed, besmirched, rebutted health study.
Yeah, when I read that, they based it off like a sickle cell trait, almost like getting mononucleosis. It's what these players were getting, which is very common throughout colleges, throughout the country. I read that as well. The CDC released some really important information yesterday, and they said 94% so far of coronavirus cases in the United States of America, death-wise, had an existing health condition. So 94% of the deaths due to COVID-19 was people that already had existing health problems.
I'll tell you the most interesting stat I've found so far is that the median age of fatality from COVID is 80 years old. This is worldwide. In America, 32% of the COVID deaths have come in the age cohort of 85 and older. So you've got, I looked up how many people in America are older than the age of 85. It's 1.2% of the population. So 1.2% of the population has contributed 32% of the deaths. Flip it. Under 25, 0 to 25, is 103 million Americans. That's 32% of the population. Do you know what that 32% of the population has contributed to COVID deaths? 0.2% of the fatalities have come in the 25 and under cohort. So an age group that is 32% of the population has had 0.2% of the COVID deaths. So that shows you that all of the deaths, not all, but might as well statistically, are over the age of 65, and almost 0% literally are under the age of 25. And so we're having this big debate on college football and whether college students should go to school. I'm not arguing that they definitely get the cases, as you see at Alabama and Auburn. They're testing positive, but as far as the risk of dying or really being hospitalized, that risk is just tiny.
Yeah. Well, where are you actually getting this information, Bill? Just on your own research?
That came from you can go to the CDC and they'll break down deaths by age cohort.
Yeah.
And then the second step, they don't break down how many people in the country are in that age cohort. So then you go to somewhere else and you can find out that there's how many people in America are over the age of 85 or how many are under 25. It's really, I mean, 0 to 14. I'll tell you, in Sweden's been in the news a lot because they did it differently. They didn't lock down, and they kept students in school. In the entire country of Sweden, there has been one person in the entire country that has died of COVID-19 under the age of 25. That's a 10 million person country, one person in the entire country. Now everybody says, well, their death rates are higher than Norway and Finland, they're bordering countries. That's true. It's 58 deaths per 100,000 people. That's the way they do it, per 100,000. And but you look in Sweden, all of their deaths are skewed at the 70 and older. I mean, I think it's like 40% of the deaths in Sweden have been in the 85 and older cohort. So it's misleading when you say you have all these deaths. You got to really, to me, break it down by age category, which you rarely see.
Well, let's just say this, as I mentioned, Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, these outstanding programs, these big, huge schools, let somebody persuade them to not play football. Somebody's going to get sued or something. I mean, somebody's going to be has really jumped the gun here.
Well, you've heard the plan. They're now going to start playing football in January. So they're not going to play a spring season. They're going to play in January.
You talking about the Big Ten?
Yeah, start on the 7th is what I've read. So you're going to have football basically ending in the Southeastern Conference, the ACC, and the Big 12, and then you're going to have the Big 10 playing right after.
Was it Mike that made the point or somebody made the point that you're talking about playing 10 games from January to March, and then you let them rest a little while, and then come back and play a second season that same year? Isn't that dangerous to play?
Extremely dangerous, yeah.
And you know what they're going to do?
All their big time players. I'd be shocked if Justin Fields, he's going to be a top, probably either 1 or 2 pick in the draft, and Ohio State's loaded with NFL talent every year. I'm sure none of those guys will play.
And I heard they wanted to play in domed stadiums.
Yeah,
I saw that
report. They're going to play in Minneapolis,
Indianapolis.
The Colts play in Indianapolis, and
Detroit.
one other dome stadium,
Detroit.
And playing outside would seem like it would be safer, right?
But that's due to weather more than COVID.
Yeah. We were talking about John Thompson, but last week, Luke Oatson from Arizona State, I believe he was 85. He passed away, and he won a national championship.
Yeah, he was always a sharp-dressed guy.
Yeah, and he that's the only team that beat 3 number 1s in a tournament. I believe it was 97 when they won it, but I was going to throw that out that he passed away.
He was 85. Mm-hmm. I was looking at the cases yesterday, though, Bill. You got to start, feeling better about things a little bit. It was down to 32,000 yesterday, so the cases are really starting to come down nationally.
Mm-hmm. Well, they ought to be, because we've been having the mandatory mask for over a month and a half in Alabama, and everywhere I go, people are wearing masks. So if the masks are working, the cases ought to. Now, I think the cases are coming down, but then you see these stories at Alabama and Auburn of the huge number of new cases. So that's grabbing all the headlines. It's the new cases on college campuses. Now, none of these kids are going to the hospital. They said 1,200 cases, positive cases of University of Alabama students. That sounds bad, but there's 30,000 University of Alabama students, so it's only about 3% of the student body. But they said there is no University of Alabama student who has tested positive who has had to been hospitalized. And then they look at the...
Did Governor Meemaw, isn't that what they call Ivy? They call her Meemaw, Governor Meemaw.
Yeah.
Did she they extended the mask to October 3rd? Is that correct in Alabama?
Yeah, and so we've had it now since the 15th of July, I think. But But also at Tuscaloosa's hospitals, here's the argument. Well, we know the kids are going to be okay, but they're going to give it to somebody that's going to give it to somebody that's going to give it to somebody who is at risk in the community, an older person, right? It's the 6 degrees of separation argument. When you say, okay, well, have more older people in Tuscaloosa been hospitalized with COVID since these students have been back? The students have been back since August 13th, so it's been 17 days of the students back. Well, the hospital admissions for COVID patients in Tuscaloosa has declined by 21% since the students have been back. Now, it's still a little too early to tell because, you got an incubation period and then it takes 10 days till you go to the hospital. But so far, the number of COVID patients in Tuscaloosa has gone down since the students have been back.
That is amazing.
So, in other words, i.e., the students are not sending 75-year-old people in Tuscaloosa to the hospital, would be the conclusion I'm making.
The amazing thing about all of this is that this virus has spread so fast and so far. I mean, it's probably the most contagious virus that we might have ever seen. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree.
You barely missed out on the Spanish flu. That was probably the worst.
Oh, yeah, that was in 1900, is that right?
1918.
1918.
It was a lot more deadly.
And still, a lot of reports are yet to come in, especially from high school football and from college football. I know this game that was played in Montgomery was looked at by every major college in the country, or even anybody that plays football, and watch what they did. There was not a ticket sold for that game. I know we mentioned that earlier, but I reckon that's what they got to do to not be liable. Is that right? Maybe is to not actually sell the tickets. Is that right?
Probably.
I think that was just for that game. I mean, they've already come out in the SEC and announced how many fans can come to each game. I mean, Alabama's going to be over 20,000. I think Texas A&M is going to be 25,000.
Yeah, they're
you know that there's going to be some people selling their tickets because, let's just say, I'm one of these only 25% that can go to the game, and I got 50-yard line tickets. Man, that ticket's going to be worth a lot of money.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There are no tickets proper, per se. There's no paper tickets that they're printing. So it's going
to be an individual.
It's going to be online smartphone tickets, which I don't even know how to do that. But that scares me, too, that they're saying, oh, we can't even do tickets because somebody's going to get COVID by handing the ticket to somebody. You know what's next if that logic takes off? Well, we got to ban cash. If somebody gives you a $20 bill, what are they doing? They're transmitting, COVID to you. And, if you're afraid to touch something that somebody else has touched, I'm wondering what the next measure is going to be.
Yeah. You know what's been sort of quiet is the job situation and, unemployment. That's been sort of kept quiet lately, if you'll think about it.
Yeah. I agree.
Am I right by saying that?
I think they're intentionally downplaying the stories that they could report that would show that how bleak and sad things are. I saw one that got through the gatekeepers the other day. Really concerned me, Mike. Both of y'all, Mike. They from the Chamber of Commerce in San Francisco, 54% of the storefronts in San Francisco, California, are out of business permanently, closed.
Boy, oh boy.
54%. So there's only more than half of the businesses, storefronts, that have a literal brick and mortar building are now closed, and that's 7 months into this. So you think it's gonna? I don't think it's suddenly going to get better. That's going to get worse. And every one of those storefronts has store owners that are close to nervous breakdowns. They've let loose all their employees. So the emotional and mental strain and turmoil and anguish of people is, incomprehensible, really.
What do you think there's going to be another check mailed out similar to what everybody going up against a check that goes out to everybody. What do you think?
Well, they were supposed to be.
It's going to happen until maybe after the election's over, because I don't think that the Democrats are going to agree to anything the Republicans want to do that could help Trump.
You know, let me tell you this, Mike. When it goes to giving the people money, listen, you better vote for it. You better vote for it. If you're gonna lose a lot, you're gonna lose that election. But
they can't agree to terms, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to have happened 2 months ago, and for some reason, probably politics, they've decided they're not going to do it, and now it's what if you have a family.
Trump came back in, and everybody that was on unemployment was getting an additional $600, and of course they thought that was too high because people were making more money than they've ever made in their lives, and they weren't going back to their jobs. So then Trump and the Republicans felt like, that was just too much, but then Trump did agree to go to $300 extra a week to go on what you're filing for. So that was an additional $300 instead of the $600. So that has already been passed by 30 states, I read the other day.
Well, let's talk. I want to talk about that, though. That is an interesting point. Mike used the word pass. That was an executive emergency order from the President of the United States. That never passed Congress. Donald Trump said, I'm the king, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you all this 300 extra, not 600, but 300 extra. And then the states could, like Mike said, they could say if they want to do it or not, and some, they're starting to do it. The states are all broke.
Think about it.
But what bothers me is that we've got all these emergency orders that people are doing on their own with no, mayors are doing it, governors are doing it, the president's doing it, and we're accepting these executive orders. One day there is going to be an executive order that people don't like, and they're just going to say tough. But I mean, am I the only person that this kind of bothers, that these CEOs, executives can just tell you what they're going to do with no congressional or city council legislative input? I think I'm the only one that's worried about this, but
there's tons of people worried about people that are staying on unemployment and not going back to their jobs and not trying to find new jobs. That's a big issue.
But I'm talking about how can the president pass how can he order the government to disperse hundreds of billions of dollars without the Congress's approval? The Congress controls the purse strings for 240 years of America. If that has to do with money that is going to be issued, the Congress has to vote on it, is what I'm saying, and they did not approve it.
But the states are allowed to do it right now, so that's...
It's unconstitutional. In my view, what Donald Trump did is unconstitutional. He can't issue money on his own volition but he's doing it, and nobody's challenging him. But to me, as a political science major, and somebody who went to law school for 2 weeks, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
You went to law school for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's kind of don't believe everything you hear.
Well, Ken,
for some crazy reason, I took a law class at UAB. I'll never forget it. I don't know what in the world I was thinking. That was the dumbest mistake I ever made in my life.
Well, let me just say this on a more somber note. The ice cream truck comes to Crow Hill at 3 p.m. today. The ice cream truck. And also,
who drives the ice cream truck in Detroit?
That's a good one.
Yeah. In our neighborhood, the ice cream truck comes in at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Why don't they wait till 3:30? At least wait till the kids get home. They're not even home at 3 o'clock, are they?
That timed it too. Well, they are letting out school earlier, Mike. Troy Elementary School gets out at 2:20, so maybe they're.
Yeah.
I saw on Facebook.
I'd be interested to hear how's your wife in the online and in the students in class. I mean, how's she faring with that? Has that been difficult so far?
She loves it so far because she's got the most students she has in one class is 14. She's got 7 in one class that are actually physically there. So she says she can really teach them, and the ones that are there are really engaged. And but I don't know about all these kids that are online. She's not being filmed in her lessons aren't going straight to their house.
Yeah.
But so far,
Your wife teaches,
she teaches 10th grade English. But,
10th grade English.
but I think the students that are actually physically at school are getting a better education than they've ever got, because, you know, the teachers are teaching fewer students. And, you know, you always hear about class size. The smaller the class size, the easier it is for teachers to manage the class.
Oh, yes.
And so that's what they've got this year.
And those that are in her class are actively ready to go.
Charles Henderson this weekend, she worked the gate. Was it any different than usual?
Yeah, she said it was kind of bizarre. I mean, she had to check everybody's bags and.
You mean everybody had the bag checked before they went in?
Yeah, that was Carrie's job. She had to snoop in the bags, I guess, to make sure nobody's carrying in flask or snacks. I don't know.
In local news with the school system at Troy City Schools, Dr. Joanna Taylor, who was an assistant principal at the elementary school, will move to the central office as an assistant superintendent. And she's a local girl. Her maiden name's Henderson, I believe.
Yeah. She's been at Troy Elementary
Her
School.
husband runs the movie theater.
That's
so she's very dynamic, always positive, and we're excited for her. And
well, she was directing traffic on last Friday, so she was in the line. And what they do is you pull up, Mike, and the kids are not outside sitting down next to each other like they used to be to get in the car when their parents come to pick them up. Instead, you tell them your kid's name or show them a sign that says Maggie Rice, 3rd grade, and then they have their cell phone and they just say Maggie Rice, 3rd grade, and then they send Maggie Rice out.
Right.
One at a time is the way they're doing it. It's working pretty good so far.
Hey, I want to go back to John Rahm. Real quick, if I could. He met his wife at Arizona State, and her name's Kelly Cahill, and she was a javelin thrower on the track team. And she said when they first started dating, they played tennis, and they got in such a heated match that they got mad at each other because he was whipping her, and they were both competitors. Said they didn't speak for weeks. That they almost broke up, but they're married, and but he's from Spain and she's from.
He's got a temper. And
he's about 6'2". He's from Spain.
You'll see him from time to time. You know, just say a dirty word or slam that club.
Wait a minute, who are y'all talking about?
The John Rahm, the guy who won the PGA this weekend.
But you can tell he's working on it.
At Arizona State. His coach at Arizona State was Tim Mickelson, Phil Mickelson's brother.
Yeah, and his wife.
Something about him. He speaks very good English.
6'2".
Better than most.
Yeah, I agree. He does. He must live in America, and I like him. You know, he's honest about his temper issues. He says, "I'm trying to get better," and he is. He has gotten better in the last couple of years. And he's as pleasant and nice as can be when he's not having one of his little meltdowns. But he's competitive.
I tell you what, they were talking about the whole match was his leg strength, and you look at him, he looks like a linebacker. You know the power that these golfers have starts with the legs, and he's really, really strong.
All right, does anybody have anybody good at math that's on the air today? Because we've got the largest college football stadiums in the United States, and say you did 20% capacity at these stadiums. So Michigan Stadium holds 107,601. Penn State holds 106,572. So this is kind of going to let you see how many fans can attend games this year. The biggest stadium in the SEC is Kyle Field at Texas A&M. It's 102,733. Neyland Stadium is 102,455. LSU's is 102,321. Bryant-Denny is 101,821. So that kind of gives you an idea of whatever 20% is of those capacities. How many people will be able to go to games this year?
20,400. It's a top big.
About 20,000.
A little more than 20,000.
Yeah. So Auburn Stadium's 87,451. So what would they have, around 17,000?
Yeah, well, it's 90,000 would be 18,000, so there's 3,000 less than that. That's 600. That'd be 17,400. I guess I'm pretty good at math.
But how do they decide who's going to get the tickets, though? I mean, will they do it by priority? I know there's some.
Yeah, Alabama's priority. You know, the biggest boosters and the people that have been members of Tide probably the longest will have the first chance at tickets.
And those rich folks in those boxes, they gonna get their tickets first too, won't they?
I bet they.
Those boxes will be full. I guarantee you that will not be an issue.
They are not going to give up that. They're going to at least get that revenue, don't you think? They're going to. And Alabama has about 110 box. How many do they have now, Michael? You know?
Oh, sky boxes? Oh my goodness, way more than 10.
I mean, 110 is what. Yeah.
Just in the end zone. Just in the end zone. I used to sit up in the end zone boxes, and I would say there's at least 20 in the new end zones.
I know they got over 100, and then they've just, I don't know if they added some more with this. They added some clubs, some of these clubs with this new renovation.
The stadium clubs.
So that might be Alabama's saving grace if they can at least get the big income from those skyboxes and stadium clubs. Plus, 20,000 is better than zero on the attendance, and then they get the TV money. They can probably hang on for another year.
Yeah. They play in about 26 days.
Ladies and gentlemen, that show is brought to you by Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram trucks on the bypass right here in Troy, where they've got the biggest sale of the year going on right now, and you need to get out there and save a bunch of money on a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep or Ram truck, and boy, they're dealing like nobody. Remember, nobody deals like Premier.
Yeah, Mike, is your truck a 4x4?
No.
4-wheel drive?
I'm gonna
have to call back on my cell phone. My phone's died. Let me call right back.
We're still on there, so everybody watch what you say.
I think you need to swap and get one, Mike, and we'll go mud riding down some of them roads in Goshen and Crenshaw and Pike County.
Right, we said this.
All right, we're going to wait. We're going to go to Steve's up there now, so we're going to go to a break. See you in 2 minutes.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
By its very nature, doing big things takes resilience and strength. You did the hard part. You did it, and we'll go farther still. Max is proud to be your champion, removing obstacles that get in your way. We make technology easy, saving and funds access uncomplicated, and provide help when and how you want it. You control your money with expert guidance from Max Credit Union. Smart money made simple.
Right here, right now, it's a double dose of savings. Yes. Summer clearance event savings. Plus Labor Day savings. 2020 Wranglers start at $289 a month. 2020 Ram 1500. Save it to $17,377. The biggest selection. Better discount. Best deal. New 2020 Jeep Cherokee. Save up to $10,000. Save over $9,800 on new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Bad credit, no credit, it doesn't matter. Shop us at PremierTroy.com and save thousands. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Mondays.
All right, we're back. Thank you for being with us. I'm Bill Rice, and this is Coach Forrest Lee, and the two Mike Amoses are joining us on the phone this morning. Mm-hmm. So
we're going to you live on Troy Cable Vision, and we're on Facebook live across the country, across the world. And I hope everybody's enjoying it. Of course, a lot of the information that we're giving you, I mean, this is not just Bill Rice's opinion. You're getting this from some people that are supposed to know. Is that right, Ryan?
Oh yeah. Whenever I cite something, I've researched it and double checked it and triple checked it, and the info is easy to get. It's just really how you analyze. Like you could say that everybody knows that this disease affects older people a lot more. So you can go and find out that exactly how many people over the age of 85 have passed away from COVID. all I've done this kind of original is say, well, how many people in the country are over the age of 85? You know, so it turns out it's 1.27% of the country. And then I said, well, how many people in the country are under the age of 25? Well, it's 103 million, which is 32% of our country's population is 331 million. So that's about 32%. And then you say that, so it's all extrapolation, and it's all, you can have data, it's the context you present the data kind of changes what your interpretation might be.
Yeah. Another thing that I think we ought to check on, and hopefully I can get him on tomorrow, Johnny Williams, that put on the game this weekend from Crab to Bow. Did they do the temperature of everybody that walked in the stadium? So I wonder, that was supposed to be a big thing where you actually.
Well, you asked him that, and he said that they were going to do it if you were in a box or one of the suites or the press box. But as far as the people coming in the regular gates that were sitting in the bleachers, they did not do that.
Yeah, if anybody wants to read about that game, anybody wants to read about that game, there's a good article on ESPN.com about it that Alex Scarborough wrote. So you can read about the first game of the season and all the things that went around it.
Did they quote Johnny Williams?
Johnny Williams is not in the quote, but a lot of Central Arkansas and Austin Peay coaches and players are.
You know that question I asked you earlier, will an individual, let's just say I've got a permission to go to the game, could I turn around and sell that to anybody, or how does that work?
I don't know how you can you transfer a digital ticket or not? I don't know, Mike. Do you know, Michael?
What I'm saying, let's just
people
$1,000 for my ticket. Could I sell it to
people would be able to sell it to StubHub. Yes, that's correct.
They would.
So you got to use an intermediary. You can't sell it to me. I mean, I would have to. You'd have to first sell it to StubHub, and then I'd have to sell it. So StubHub's going to get their cut.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'd have to digitally have it.
I would think that they would do it game by game instead of season by season. Wouldn't you think?
This is
two games is what you get to choose from through Tide Pride. The two games you want to go to. Yeah.
You get into this.
There's
5 home games.
Okay.
You get into this digital world where all transactions are digital or electronic. That scares me too. I mean, so you're saying I've got to sell a ticket that the government or somebody's going to be able to see how much money you get and who you sold it to in the past. You would just go talk to Tom down the street and say, Tom, I want to buy your ticket. Tom bought those tickets for $100 a ticket. He sells it to you for $200. Well, I mean, in the past, what I'm saying is Tom just made $100, but you think Tom reported that to the IRS? No. So really, what we're talking about, this is a means for the IRS to not let you do that. Scary to me.
Let me tell you this: a lot of you folks out there that have ever bought theater tickets, and I did, and I didn't understand how it worked. But theater tickets, and then you walk up to the gate, and they scan it and all that. But that's how they've been doing theater tickets all these years. Isn't that right?
And Broadway shows you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, doing the tickets, online, that type of thing.
Oh. Well, you get.
I mean, anytime I've ever bought a ticket to anything, I bought online.
Yeah.
And you're going to probably have to buy everything by card inside the game.
Buy no cash exchange inside the game. That's another. I tell y'all, I'm this banning cash. Now we're having the change shortage that y'all all heard of. Everybody's heard of. Next is.
Well, I know this that stores are making a lot of money because they said we can't give you change.
Well, the other day we got change for the country club. Brand new brand new nickels, brand new dimes. Every one of them were 2020.
Oh, they're having to make them.
They were brand new.
But I think this, they're conditioning us for the banning cash movement by starting with the change. But just watch. I might be wrong, but in the next 2 to 3 to 4 years, there's going to be a real push to do away with cash money. And
am I the only person that throws their pennies on the ground when I walk out of a place I paid for change with?
I pick them, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to start seeing people looking in the parking lot picking up change.
Well, people don't pick up pennies.
I guarantee if you follow Mike Amos around, as much money as falls out of your pocket, you probably make about $10 a day.
Yeah, you're right.
I go to his chair in Troy some days, and on the floor there's about $20 change in cash.
Hey, when I was a little kid and I would get to wash cars, if somebody came to my grandmother and granddaddy's house, and I might get a dime to wash a car, I'd go to the back seat and push that back seat in and pop it. I'd get about $1 worth of quarters. When's the last time somebody's had to do that?
Brundage Country Club, can you play golf today at Brundage on Monday?
It's closed on Mondays. You will have some members that will walk and stay out of the way of the people cutting grass and things of that nature. But
this is the best
closed.
deal in golf you'll find anywhere. Tell us about it.
Well, the course is open Tuesday through Sundays, and we open about 8 o'clock each morning. And the green fees are $12 during the week, $15 on the weekend. And if you decide to ride a cart, it's $10 per 9. But the greens, it's a beautiful course, and the grounds people have done a wonderful job. The greens are in great shape. The next step that they're working on are the sand traps. There's a little bit of grass in the sand traps. They don't have the rakes out because of COVID, but that's one of the next things that they're putting on schedule is to rework the sand traps. And a lot of people that play, some of the regulars who walk, if you hit the sand trap, they'll just move it out to the side, either way, and play it that way, or some will play it out of the sand trap.
Michael, did you see this on Facebook? This is a topic we've talked a lot about, is whether the bands get to play at college football games or high school football games. Rick Carl is a TV personality in Birmingham. He made a post criticizing the fact that they're not going to allow the bands to march at halftime. And it went viral. Everybody was sharing it, and everybody got fired up that they're going to let the football players play, but they're not going to let the bands go on the field. And I posted, that, heck, we've talked about this on Today in L.A. for months, and we get the Johnny Williams told us the reason they're afraid that it's not the marching on the field they're worried about, it's with the band members bunching up on the sidelines before the performance and after the performance.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be.
Troy University.
Hey, you need to go on Facebook. The Town of the South has posted. It's gotten like 20,000 views. They're lined up in the end zone, doing the whole end zone 6 feet apart.
Right.
6 feet apart.
I saw that.
And they're playing. They're playing Respect by Aretha Franklin, and it is amazing. You ought to hear that on Facebook.
Oh, I'm going to go check it out as soon as the show's over. Good.
It's been a great show, guys. And we appreciate all your input, guys. It's been wonderful. Right? Send us home. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Bill Rice, Forrest Lee, the two Mike Amoses. We're going to cut out a little earlier for the Wiley Sanders show, but thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting our sponsors.
Wiley Sanders Drug Lines, the best drug lines in America.
It certainly is. And then you can rewatch our show at 1:30 this afternoon, and otherwise we'll be back at 7 o'clock